UFC Vegas 104 is this Saturday night, and we have 13 fights headlined by Marvin Vettori taking on Roman Dolidze in a rematch. And I know it's not the greatest card on paper, but I think there's going to be a lot of violent finishes, and I already like a lot of underdogs on this card. I already have 5 bets locked in. There's a couple more I'm thinking about, and I know that seems like a lot for one of these little Apex cards, but I don't know. I think the dogs are going to be barking on Saturday. So I'm going to go through each and every fight, as always, starting at the bottom, working my way to the top. Let me know in the comments what your favorite underdog is, because I think there is going to be a lot of them. Leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button, man. I think over 70% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so click that subscribe button, man. It's free. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps out the channel, man, so I can find more people that are into this kind of stuff. I want to make some more content for you guys, trying to figure out what you guys want to see. But I will be dropping the live show. I will be doing the quick picks video and some last minute bets later on in the week. So make sure you subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you don't miss them. If you do miss the live shows, you can always watch them on the replay on the live tab of my channel. Let's get into it, man. First fight on the card, we got Unesis Dubin taking on Carly Judice. Dubin, I bet on Contender Series, as I think she was the biggest underdog in Contender Series history. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't pick her to win the fight straight up. It was just a value play. You guys know me and my style. Pretty much any time you're giving me like Contender Series level or lower level women's MMA, just like heavyweight, at ridiculous odds like that, it's one of those things you just plug your nose and you just, take a plunge, because the odds are just ridiculous. And in this fight, and when she got that knockout, I mean, it was a crazy knockout. And I do think Dubin has power. Now, you go through her wins, it was her first real opponent. Every other opponent, it was like 0-0, making their debut. She's been fighting absolute cans. It is what it is. I will say, though, man, it looks like she's taking her career seriously. I've been following her on Instagram for like a couple months. It looks like she's training hard. She is going to have the confidence of a 6-0 fighter, coming off a crazy knockout. And she's fighting a girl who, coming off 2 losses. Now, much better competition. I mean, Shannon Clark's pretty legit, but look, I think if they fight 10 times, she probably wins 1 or 2 of them. Like, that was kind of her win condition. But, Karikati's pretty legit, and it was a split. It was a good fight. And then Fernandez, hey, I bet Fernandez, speaking of big underdogs, I bet Fernandez the biggest underdog in the UFC, not Contender Series. So I actually got the biggest Contender Series underdog and the biggest UFC underdog. Because Gabriela Fernandez, I got her at plus 850 against friggin' the Joker. And we saw that happen. Now, both of those fights, kind of mean finishes. But it just goes back to these odds should never be this crazy. And I do think Carly Judice is the better fighter here. I think she's a more technical striker. And I don't really see them doing a whole lot of grappling in this fight. So, Carly Judice, I get it. She should probably be a favorite in this fight. She should be a favorite in this fight. I'm going to pick her in this fight. But I bet Dubin at plus 350. Now, honestly, you might be able to end up getting better odds. I don't know. It looks like it came down a good bit, but who knows? The parlay boys might get that back up. I guess his best right now is like plus 320, but there was a plus 380. There might have been better. I think there was like a plus 400 at some point, but if you got that, you did your job. Look, I think Judice is the better fighter, but who she beat? Who she beat? Nobody. So she's gonna be the bigger girl. She's gonna be the more technical girl. She should win the fight. But at plus 350, I like my odds. It's probably gonna be a decision. Just give me the big underdog, man. Dog or pass. You don't have to take it. I'm choosing to. Lower level women's MMA. Next up, we got Jose Nunes taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. Jose Nunes, she's made me some money a couple of times in this Farm fight, and then in this Malecki fight. But I did better in this Cavalcanti fight. It was a split. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Nunes won, but I'm biased, obviously. So Cavalcanti, maybe she edged it with the volume. I just thought Nunes had the more impactful shots, but it was a good fight. Cachoeira, I've never been high on. Terrible ground game. She's a super dirty fighter, man. We got her and we got 2 of the most dirty fighters in the UFC on this card. But, Priscilla, she's definitely not a great grappler. She's getting up there in age for the division, 36. Even though you do see the women, like, kind of able to win at an older age a little better than the men, it seems. But, gonna have a size advantage for sure. She's a bigger girl. So, I mean, I get why Nunes is the favorite because she gonna have both these girls have big power. Nunes was fighting at 145 at friggin' 5'2" because she has crazy power. Like, she really is like a little Jessica Andrade. But, Priscilla can crack too. And, if Nunes just wants to strike with Cachoeira, I don't know. Like, I don't really see Nunes going out here and shooting takedowns. Like, that's not really what these girls do. I think it's going to be, another, like, women's striking fight. Now, these girls are much more dangerous than the last two, even though Dubin just had the craziest knockout. So, you're going to say, oh, that's not true. But come on, like, overall, these two girls, like, this could get violent. And overall, man, I just think Cachoeira is super live here, man. So I'm going back-to-back women's MMA underdogs, man. Cachoeira plus 175. I went ahead and locked that in. I think Cachoeira is super. I think this is a 50-50 fight, man. So give me the underdog. I actually slightly lean Cachoeira, just because the styles. I think Nunes probably has a higher upside in the UFC, but than what we've seen with Cachoeira. But, she could probably handle her own on the ground a little better. But I don't think these girls are going to grapple, man. I think they're just going to, like, throw bombs. And I think Cachoeira is going to catch her. I don't know if she knocks Nunes out or just knocks her down maybe and beats her up and wins a decision. But at plus 175, I think she could win by decision. I think she could knock her out as well. So give me Cachoeira. I'm going to take her. I'm going to pick her straight up, and I bet her plus 175. Whereas I can't pick Dubin straight up. I can bet her. Cachoeira, I'm picking and betting. Andre Lima taking on Daniel Barres, the other dirtiest fighter in the UFC that I was talking about. Even though he was the guy who got bit, he committed a couple fouls in that fight himself. I think that's part of the reason that was frustrating Severino before the bite. But grabbing the cage, I think he low blowed him. But, he's a dude. If you go back and watch Lima's fights, and I bet on most of them, so, he's been making me money. I actually bet Igor in that fight. Talk about a way to lose. Wow, I forgot he fought 2 Igors. But, I actually bet Severino in this fight, and I was feeling good about my bet. And then, the bite happened. Jesus. What a way to lose a bet. Well, I thought when they called time, I was like, yeah! I celebrated because I thought he was taking a point. Because Andre Lima was grabbing the cage during the bite. Like, right before it, he was grabbing the cage. So I was like, let's go! They're taking a point. And no, he was freaking checking his arm out for a bite. But I did bet him against Raposo. I bet him against Dos Santos. And, he did make it way too close with that in that Raposo fight. But, got it done. And I honestly think Barres is pretty solid. The Altamirano fight is what it is. I actually am higher on Altamirano than a lot of people. So, I'll give him credit for that. And Fijo's dangerous, on the ground. He didn't fight, like, the greatest competition on the regional scene, but definitely not the worst, Definitely, like, isn't, he's 36, like, he's kind of a finished product, whereas Andre Lima's going to be making, like, the much more bigger improvements fight to fight. And I really think Andre Lima, like, he has a high upside in this division. I mean, it's a really stacked division. I mean, maybe not name value-wise, but, like, talent-wise, like, it's not like a given he's going to, run through these guys or, like, make it to, the top ranks. But, I think he's got a good frame for the division. He hits hard. He's pretty defensively sound. The only problem with Lima is sometimes he just fights a little too close, man. I think he doesn't like to take a lot of risk, so he doesn't throw a ton of volume sometimes. So, maybe Barres can mix it up with some takedowns and make it closer. I know some wise guys are on Barres, and I get it because I do feel like the way Lima fights so close, one of these times he's gonna end up losing a close decision, especially if a guy can mix in a couple shots. steal around that way, and then just one of these rounds where Lima's just, he doesn't hurt you, and he also only lands like 20 strikes, well, you know, you could take that round. He might even land less than that. But you know, I'm gonna go Lima though. I'm just not gonna bet it, man, because at this line, I think Barra is a little bit more live than that line indicates, but I'm not quite willing to take a shot. There's a lot of underdogs I like in this card, so I'm just gonna pass on this and I'm gonna take Lima. Next up though, we got Sam Hughes taking on Stephanie Luciano, and look, another young prospect. Luciano came in, avenged that loss to Alan Carr that she had on Contender Series. And, you know, she showed in that fight that she's got a good gas tank. And a lot of people are saying that's why Sam Hughes is going to lose this fight. Because Sam Hughes tends to, you know, lose early on and then wear on you. She's just a dog. Like, that's her. It's funny because she's been an underdog in all 10 of her UFC fights. So, yeah, she's 9-6. But, you know, all those fights are in the UFC. And she's been an underdog in, like, every single one of them. And she's won, like, half of them. What's her record? Like, maybe 4-6? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Okay. Does she only have 8 UFC fights? Why was I thinking it was 10? Maybe it's only 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. No, this is gonna be her 10th. So she has been an underdog in all 10, and she's won. 1, 2, 3, 4. So she's 4 and 5. Yeah. But she's been an underdog in every single one of them. Amarim, Dudakova, maybe not so much Elise Reed, but I mean she was an underdog in it. And then even Estela Nunes, like all these girls, definitely more so like Dudakova and Amarim. But you know, I feel like this fight's just like those. And yeah, I will say Luciano seems like she has a better gas tank than those girls. It's just the same old story, bro. Like she's 25, she's got 7 fights. Like, she's fought nobody. Even, like, Alan Carr, like, no disrespect, but, like, cool. Like, again, no disrespect. You made it to the UFC. But, like, you know, that's it. Like, I'm not giving her too much flack for this loss. She probably learned a lot and got better there, but, like, who she fought? Nobody. She looks good. Don't get me wrong, but, like, I've seen this too many times, so... Sam Hughes plus 215. It's just a system play. Like, I hate that phrase, but it is, man. These women's underdogs just been cashing for me time and time again. So, I rarely have more than 2 women's MMA bets on a card, and I'm betting all 3 of these. Dubin, Cachoeira, Hughes, plus 350, plus 175, plus 215. I seriously think that they all 3 could hit. It is what it is, and you know, even if one of them hit, I'm probably I'm profitable at these numbers if one of them hit. So, you know, anyways, Josias Musasa taking on Carlos Vera. What can you really say about this matchup, man? I bet Musasa in his Contender Series fight. This guy was good too. Like I went into it like I got Musasa as an underdog. I want to say he closed as the favorite. Maybe he didn't. I can't remember. I wanted to say, like, I got him as an underdog, and then he ended up closing as a favorite. But, man, Contender Series, I can't wait for that to start back up. We were just absolutely printing money. We went 9-1 on the Contender Series cards. Only profitable or lost money on one card. It was like half a unit. So, Contender Series, I just clean up every year. I cannot wait for that to start. But Musasa cashed, and... You know, I wanted to bet him. It looks like they're trying to, like, build him. And it looks like, you know, they're kind of ready to get out of the Carlos Vera business. 37, put up kind of an embarrassing performance against Nakamura. I mean, Nakamura's solid, even though he obviously just got a loss. But, you know, it was a tough matchup, but still. And he's a local guy. So, like, I'm not, you know, I like Carlos Vera. I root for him and stuff. But... It was, like, not a great performance. And the UFC don't like that kind of stuff. Like, if God forbid you're, like, pulling guard and stuff, you, like, absolutely have to, like, get a submission or, like, get very close or something. Like, when you keep doing it and it's not working, like the UFC, Dana, like, they don't love that, man. And hey, at the end of the day, I like to see different styles. But, a lot of people, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, a lot of people don't like to see that. And I get it. Like, if you don't know what's going on there, yeah, it's probably not very exciting. And at the end of the day, this is an entertainment industry. But, yeah, man, I mean, I don't know what Musasa's jiu-jitsus look like. I've watched, like, all this guy's fights I could find online. And, he's not fighting anybody who can really spell jiu-jitsu. Like, these guys don't look like they really know anything about jiu-jitsu. But, I can see he's friggin' super athletic. He's strong as hell. He's going to have such, like, a athleticism, speed, strength, power advantage over Vera. And seriously, like, if I gotta think now that he's out here in the U.S. training, I'm sure he's doing a ton of jiu-jitsu. He's probably making crazy improvements, man. I've seen people like this in the training room. And I've followed him on Instagram since before his Contender Series fight. So, like, it looks like he's taking his career serious, training hard. You gotta think he's rounding out his game because the dude cracks. He honestly reminds me, man, of my boy. Just went to friggin' prison, but, I won't say his name, but, really his game reminded me of him. And, just can crack and just freak athletics, super fast. And, I'm sure his jiu-jitsu is getting rapidly better. But, yeah, I think Musasa knocks him out, man. Long story short. As long as Vera doesn't pull off the meme sub. You guys know I love to take shots on these, like, because he's like minus 900 right now. So you guys know I love, it's a cage fight at the end of the day, yada, yada. I don't think I can do it on this one, man. I think Vera's going to get smoked. I literally, and then it's like, even he's like 7-1, 750, and maybe, or I don't know, I think like 7-1, and then his sub prop is like 9-1. So it's like, the bookies know. He's literally like got to get like a heel hook or this fight's over. But I don't think it's going to happen. Give me Musasa, knockout first round. We move on to the next fight. Su Young Yu taking on AJ Cunningham. 138 MMA, man. I meant to hit you back because I just saw your DM. You were like, I'm sure you're putting a bag on Cunningham because, look, people always say I'm trying to fade the Asian fighters. No. I'm trying to fade the guys coming off the Asian regional scene. But 138 knows that. It's like an inside joke because we've talked about it on Wager Wars. But, yeah. You, a guy I think is pretty good, we saw him in this, I don't remember, I had to practice this dude's name when they fought. It's Jailezi. I can't remember how to say it, but I think I nailed it when I did that breakdown, but I've forgotten since then. But anyways, pretty solid win. But you start going through the Asian regional scene and the road to the UFC, and it's just like, yeah, he's a good grappler for sure. He is a good grappler, but like his striking doesn't look great. It's pretty basic, and I don't know. He's got like a weird style on the feet, man. So like I could see him getting cracked, and yeah, is AJ Cunningham like great at anything? No, he's really just like a big, or he's gonna be big in this weight class, like because that I should state that at the beginning. This is at 135. Cunningham's really like a featherweight, like a taller featherweight, but his last fight against Klein, that was like a short notice fill-in, but it was at 155. And if you guys remember, he got absolutely brutalized. Like, it was hard to watch. They're just talking about, oh, man, this guy's so tough, his upbringing and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, he's just getting thrashed. But, yeah, he does have a crazy story, so it's like impossible to root against this guy. You definitely want to see him on the scale, man. I mean, I guess if you're taking a crazy plus 400-something shot, I guess realistically you're willing to take chances on stuff like that. But, 135, he's a pretty big 135er, man. So if he can make it and be healthy, he's probably going to have some, physical advantages over you. And, he is a super tough dude. Like, he's not super technical anywhere, but, he's scrappy. He's going to fight for your money. And when you're getting a guy like that at almost 5-1, it starts to get pretty tempting. I kind of want to sit back. The line's only probably going to get better, or at least stay around that plus 450 area right now, I think is the best line. Where is it? Oh, I think it's up here near the top. Yeah, plus 500 still on Bet Rivers and Circa. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance I might take. If he looks good on the scale, man, I might have to take a shot because I do think if he gets him down, he could submit him, but like I don't know if it's gonna be super easy for him to get him down. And if it stays on the feet, I could see Cunningham being the better striker. Realistically, you ain't no Ludovic Klein. You know what I mean? Like the difference in speed and power between them and technique on the feet is night and day. Cunningham will be the guy coming forward, landing better shots, I think. I'm not saying Cunningham's some world beater on the feet, but he's probably a better striker here than you. It's just about stuffing the takedowns. So I'm going to go you. I'm going to say you gets him down. I don't know if he submits him, man. I'm going to say decision, but, I think the line's a little crazy. So I might take a shot on Cunningham if he looks good on the scale. Next up, we got Waldo Cortez Acosta taking on Ryan Spann. I don't know, man. There's some fights that I really like, and some underdog, like some betting wise, I'm into. This one, I'm just like meh. I'm not gonna lie, like two big boys. I've never been a big fan of Waldo, but I was a fan when I bet him against Despain. But I was really just on the fade train for Despain. I was just like, I will fade this guy, and it's gonna eventually pay off. And it didn't against what's his name, freaking unathletic white boy. Just got absolutely starched. Who did I bet against him and look down? Parisian, but then I bet Waldo and Austin Lane, and that worked out. But anyways, yeah, I mean Ryan Spann, you flip a coin. You don't know who's gonna show up. Like almost getting freaking knocked out by Sam Alvey. Dude, he was lucky to win that fight. Split decision. No disrespect to Smiling Sam, still doing his thing out there, but Jesus Christ, man, it looked like 3 different weight classes. That's an exaggeration, but he was also 50 years old in fight years, Sam Alvey. But anyways, losing a decision to Anthony Smith, split. It was competitive, but and I'll give you a pass for getting knocked out by Guska. Guska was pretty good, honestly, but looked alright, against OSP, but didn't OSP retire after that? I don't know. I think Waldo is the much more durable guy. If this goes 15, I think he wins. It's just a matter of can his durability hold up in that first? I think it can, but he's fought some tough hitters, some big hitters, but. If it doesn't, maybe he throws himself into that guillotine, man. That Ryan Spann that's his moneymaker right there. But I think if he survives that first round, then he wins a decision probably. I know Ryan Spann's fights typically don't go to decision, but I'm going to say Waldo Cortez, another decision win. And, he doesn't really try to finish. But maybe Ryan Spann will make him, but we'll see. We move on, though, to the next one. Kevin Vallejos taking on Sungwoo Choi. Kevin Vallejos, big favorite, man. And guy that, on the Contender Series is a big favorite. Cam T, guy can't say enough, about this dude's toughness. And Vallejos, just went in there and steamrolled him. I was really impressed. Sungwoo Choi, on the other hand, man, he's been on a rough run. We'll give you a pass fighting Steve Garcia. That probably shouldn't have been booked, considering the runs that they've both been on opposite ends. But, beat Jarno Aarons. Honestly, everybody's been saying, oh, who cares, Jarno Aarons sucks. I don't know, man. Jarno Aarons, his record is bad, but I don't think he's, the worst fighter ever, to be honest. But, hey, most people are going to disagree with that. But, hey, I think, he could have, he's had some tough matchups. But, Trezano, yeah, getting finished by him. That's tough. The Culibao fight was really close. He just kept getting hurt. And then getting choked out by Caceres. He is a vet, but I don't think Vallejos, I haven't really seen how good his jiu-jitsu is. I mean, we've seen a little bit on the tape, but it's not a ton. I don't know if he's really going to shoot takedowns. I think he might just come in here and throw hands. And I will say, Choi is freaking big. Like, offensively, he's good. And Vallejo's pretty small for the division. He's super young, man. Like, a little too young for me. Like, you know, I always say, don't come into the UFC before 25. Like, what's the point? Like, if you're gonna fight till at least like 35, at least you're gonna like aim. If you have your choice, stay in the UFC till then. Why not like, you know, get some more experience and fight like some lower level guys, and you know, not even about padding your record, just about getting better and like training and filling into the weight class the best possible and getting good at cutting weight. People want to get quick to like make some money. I get it, but you come in at 22, 23, you win a fight or two, then it's off to the races, especially because they're like, oh, young kid, we're going to build this guy. So they start giving you like a tough matchups, especially if you win one of those, off to the races, and then they can't stop it, and you end up losing a couple, and then next thing you know, you're Sage Northcutt, or you're, you know, any of these guys, man, friggin' Shabazian. Like, you come in like super, super young. It's like, what are you going to fight in the UFC for 15 years? Like, there's like a handful of guys who have ever done that. Like, I don't know. Let alone when you come into like 19. It's like, I don't know. Unless you're going to like plan on retiring at like 30, you might as well wait. But anyways, I think Vallejo should be a favorite. I think he wins the fight. I think if anyone's having grappling success, it's him. He's the much more durable guy, but he is going to be decently smaller, and they're probably just going to strike where Choi is super dangerous. He could snipe Vallejo, so I don't hate if this line gets crazy, like Choi by knockout. I know Vallejo's been super durable, but I think that's Choi's real path. I guess you probably shouldn't get greedy. If the line gets crazy, you're just taking a shot, because there is a world where Vallejo doesn't grapple, and then Choi just like rocks him, drops him in the first, squeezes out one of the next two, and wins a decision. I think Vallejo's wins, don't get me wrong. I'm really high on this guy, but he's still green. I mean, not as green as most 23-year-olds. He's 14-1, one loss being to Gene Silva, and it was Gene Silva's toughest fight. So, like, I'm high on Vallejo, don't get me wrong, but he's still 23 years old, and he's a huge favorite right here. I think he's going to win the fight. I think he's going to knock Super Choi out. It's probably going to be brutal, because Choi's durability hasn't been looking great. Even though he's only 32, you know, we've seen him going down, and Vallejo's cracks, and he has good boxing. I think he's going to knock him out, but, you know, line's getting a little crazy. Just wasn't, and I really do feel like you're probably going to have to go down in weight, man. A little small for 145, man. It's just tough. But, hey, I mean, we're going to see, we got Topuria going up to friggin' lightweight, so, you know. He's trying to be like a little mini featherweight version. I don't know, but we'll see. I just feel like he could benefit from going down to bantam. But anyways, I'll take Vallejo's by knockout. We'll move on to the next fight. We got Dr. Nergoze. I forgot to say it, man, honestly. But taking on Brinson Haberio. Haberio lost that freaking terrible fight to Ghazi Usalov, who ended up being a complete fraud. And I faded him against Lopez, thank God. But you know, beat Kyle Machado. You know, another boring fight, honestly. But typically, Riberio's fights aren't boring. They're honestly typically pretty good. He got absolutely sparked by Zhang. But that is how that guy wins fights. If you're going to lose to him, it is what it is. Speaking of Bruno Lopez right there, knocked him out. Yeah, typically when he wins, it's going to be like a vicious finish. And, you know, big dude for sure. But, you know, both these guys, they're not gonna. It's not gonna be too much of a size difference. So on paper, they're gonna size up pretty well together. Or Haber is gonna have a decent reach advantage, so for sure he fights long and super dangerous on the feet. You know, definitely a little bit. You know, we've seen him hurt a lot more, and I think Nergoze could even mix in some takedowns. We've seen Ribeiro mix in a couple takedowns, but. You know, overall, I would lean towards Nergoze to have the grappling advantage. And then, you know, I just think he can win the minutes. As long as he doesn't get knocked out. And so far, his durabilities look good. I think he wins the fight. But, you know, not a fight I'd be looking to bet, man. Two big boys. And unless since I'm on Nergoze, who is a sizable favorite, and I can't get this dogs I like on this card just too much to go with a Barrio. I'm just gonna say Nergoze by decision. Not a fight I'm overly interested in. We can move on to the next one, man. A fight I am interested in: Damon Blackshear taking on Cody Gibson. Really fun fight, honestly, man. I know both guys have had like some not so great performances recently. Gibson's getting a little up there for the division. Blackshear just got sparked by Montel Jackson, but he came back only 3 months later, against Stamen. Got the finish too. Cody Gibson, he lost to Miles Johns. I bet Johns in that fight. That was a close fight. It was a good fight. A lot of people were like, Gibson didn't push, but I don't know if he has quite the gas tank that he used to. He's also had a ton of injuries, and maybe that makes it harder to get ready for these camps. But did beat Chad Hellinger, and Brian Keller, who retired recently. So I get why Blackshear is a decent favorite because I feel like he can, even though Gibson he's big for the division, so is Blackshear, and it's typically Gibson has a size advantage over people, and these guys are gonna match up pretty well together. It's actually Blackshear with a slight little reach advantage, and on the feet it's probably gonna be pretty close. And then on the mat, Gibson's a good grappler, but I just feel like it'd be Blackshear getting on top. So I do feel like Blackshear should be a favorite, and I think he should be like a minus 250 favorite. I don't know, man. I do feel like this is another one where it's like, I haven't bet it, but like, dear God, man, I really don't want to bet 37-year-old bantamweight, and I've always been a Blackshear guy. I faded him against Montel Jackson, took Montel on the money line. Didn't know it was gonna catch. That was just one of those sweat-free bets that you just love. But I've always liked Blackshear, and I've always thought he had he's had some tough matchups, honestly, but I thought he was better than some people gave him credit for. But it does feel like I'm just like, man, I already have 4 dogs bet on this card, and I might end up with a couple others, and this is one where I'm like, I don't want to bet Gibson, man, but I really do feel like he's more alive than the line indicates. I think the line might be a little crazy, because I think the striking is close, it's pretty competitive, and Blackshear just got knocked out 6-7 months ago, brutally. I get Gibson's 37, but you got to say he is a dog. He doesn't quit. Blackshear is going to be he's going to go out there and shoot takedowns, and I think he can get them. So he should be the favorite. I would put him at, honestly, probably maybe minus 280, minus 300 tops. It's just he's getting to minus 500. I think some of these lines are just a little crazy, but, I'm going to go Blackshear. I'm going to go Blackshear by rear naked choke, but, this could get dicey, man. I wouldn't be parlaying that. But I don't have a bet yet, man. I already have a good bet. I have 5 bets already locked in. I don't know if I'll get to it, but he's one that I have circled. Next up, we got Alexander Hernandez taking on Kurt Holobaugh. And Kurt's been winning me money, man. I bet just Kurt inside the distance only in this Trey Ogden fight. So, ended up just being a push and getting my money back. But outside of that, I bet Kenan Krzyzewski. I bet him against Kenan Krzyzewski. I bet him against Austin Hubbard. I think just those two, yeah. But so I've been a little higher on Kurt than some. I get he's 38, but he still cracks. He's durable. He actually pretty good volume for a 38-year-old who has power. And the problem with him is the takedown defense. That was the problem in the Trey Ogden fight. He just got literally laid on. And I think Hernandez in the first round is always a beast. And he's 32, and he's going to have some physical advantages for sure. But, this at 55, and at 55, his physical advantages aren't, I don't know. He has them early, but then he just, he can't keep it up. He ends up getting thrown around himself by, the second and third. And I don't know, man. I think Hollabaugh is going to have a power advantage. I think he's probably, I mean, I don't know, man. I think the striking's competitive. I think he's got the better hands. Maybe Hernandez mixes it up better overall, and with the kicks. But Kurt Hollabaugh, like, he's got heavy hands and he can crack. That's one thing he can still do. And Hernandez gets hit, man. Even in that Hubbard fight, he was getting hit. He got hurt a couple times, and especially in that second and third, I do feel like he's pushing through a little bit better, but still, like, he's losing those late rounds. And yeah, man, this is another one where I don't know. I guess my pick, because I feel like he's gonna come in. I really think this is 50-50. Right now, I'm going to say my pick is Hernandez, but I have Hollabaugh moneyline circled, and it's one of those, I'm probably even more likely to bet this one than the Blackshear one, man. Or I mean the Gibson one, I should say. Because I really do feel like this is genuinely like a 50-50 fight. So, I don't know, man. What is it right now? Like, Hollabaugh is like plus 180. Man, I think I'm like 51% Hernandez right now. So I'll pick Hernandez. I might end up switching that pick, man. I have a lot of underdogs on this card, but I guess I'll say Hernandez right now, but because I think he's going to do good in the first round, get some takedowns, land some good shots, but, he slows down, and Hollabaugh's always live, and he could knock him out. But we'll move on to the co-main event. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos taking on Chidi Njokuani. Zaleski, both these guys getting up there for sure. Zaleski, 38 years old, had that draw with Anat Fakhratinov, where he got beat up the first two rounds, and then in the third, hurt him to the body. They gave him a 10-8. It ended up being a draw. Then he fought my boy Randy Brown. Had some moments against a really good fighter in Randy, but ended up losing the decision there. Had kind of a squash match against Zach Scroggin. Man, just absolutely freaking blew the doors off of him like he was supposed to. Was huge favorite, but Chidi is kind of like the Randy Brown fight, like Chidi's like they're both 6'3", I believe. And then Chidi actually has just like maybe like an inch or two on him in reach. So, body frame wise is pretty similar. And Zaleski had some moments, and I don't think Chidi's quite as good as Randy. Maybe in the clinch, because Chidi he's got good Muay Thai. So he's good in the clinch, which, if they get up against the cage. But I don't think he definitely doesn't have the ground game that Randy has. And I think the line is because people think Zaleski's going to take him down. The problem is, man, like, really it was just a Randy fight. And maybe because of that, because I said there's some similarities, he has a similar game plan. But, he is 38. If he wrestles a lot, is he going to get gassed? Because that did kind of happen in the Randy fight. He pushed through, but, he did tire out from the wrestling. And that's really the only fight we've ever seen where he actually has gone in there and, like, shot takedowns more than, like, once or twice. He never shoots. He tries to knock people out. And I think, man, like, this is another fight where it's just like, it's 50-50, man. Like, Zaleski is the more durable guy. That's my biggest worry. Isn't even that he's going to, like, wrestle Chidi for 2 rounds. I don't think he's going to do that. Maybe he wins 1 round, like the first round wrestling. But I think I'm more worried that, like, Njokuani has been knocked out, like, 4 or 5 times. So, Zaleski's been a little bit more durable, even though he's 38. It's not like Chidi's too far behind him. And they both got a lot of fights. Chidi actually has a couple more. So, I just think, Zaleski is more durable. He's going to have the grappling. But I think Chidi's live, and I think, he could knock him out, and he could also win a decision in a similar way that Randy did. So, I for the purposes of a pick, man, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna pick Chidi. I'm going Chidi, and I did bet him at plus 190. I was gonna coward out and pick Zaleski, but I'll go Chidi straight up for my pick. I get The grappling is on Zaleski's. I just don't think he's going to really go out there and do a ton of grappling. And, Chidi doesn't have the greatest durability, but I just feel like, man, he can clip Zaleski too. And Zaleski's getting a little older. I don't think this is Zach Scroggins fight. So I'm going to say Chidi cracks him. Give me Chidi bang bang by knockout. Chidi by knockout. We move on to the main event. We got Marvin Vettori taking on Roman Dolidze in a rematch, 5 rounds. And a lot of people thought Marvin, got away with one in that first Dolidze fight. But, I thought he won the fight. I don't know. I didn't think the 30-27 was right. I think it was the second and third that I had Marvin winning. But, in the first round, Dolidze did hurt him. But, I thought Marvin won. It has been a year and a half, a year and 8 months. But Marvin has been asking for a fight for a little bit. He had a shoulder surgery, I believe. But he's been asking for a fight. He's been trying to fight. So I know he's been training. I think 5 rounds really suits him, man. I thought Marvin was the rightful winner the first time. He's actually the younger guy. Younger guys tend to win the rematch. It's by 5 years. I've never been a Dolidze guy. I bet him in the Holland fight. That price was crazy. People are like, oh, it was a rib injury. Hey. I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I'm just saying that fight was going one way. All I'm saying is I was about 30 seconds in and I was like, we cash in. And I never feel that confident. Like, I'm usually trying to stay pretty neutral. I was like 30 seconds in. The ease that he got that first takedown, I was like, oh, it's easy money. And I knew it was going to be, but it is what it is. I've never been a Dolidze guy. That was a very specific matchup where I liked him. But if you're going to shoot takedowns on Kevin Holland, you're going to beat him at middleweight. But, I don't think these guys are going to shoot takedowns. And I don't think he's taking Marvin Vettori down if he does. Dolidze doesn't have good wrestling. He's got solid jiu-jitsu, but not great wrestling. Vettori's a freaking brick wall. And he's a freaking brick head, too. He doesn't get finished. So, I think this is going 25 minutes. And we saw what was happening in the last fight when it went 3. I don't think it's going to be any different at 36. I think Vettori is just going to outland him, win 3, 4, and 5 at a high clip. I get taking underdog money when we do think it is going 25. But I don't, it's not enough of a line for me to, I think Vettori wins the fight, man. So I bet him. I was surprised at the line, man. We already saw this fight. He's the younger guy. It's 5 rounds. I get he had a shoulder surgery. He hasn't been active. That's the only thing that's scaring me. He had a surgery and he hasn't fought in almost over a year and a half. That does concern me, but I don't know, man. At this type of price, when I think he's just a better fighter, we already seen this fight and now it's 5 rounds. I bet him at minus 128. I'm all about it. I think he wins the fight, man. I think he wins 4 and 5 at a really high clip, and then he only has to win one of the first 3. Let alone I think he wins the last 3 at a pretty high clip. So give me Marvin Vettori by decision, and I did bet him minus 128. I bet Chidi plus 190, and I picked him straight up. I'm picking at Hernandez ever so slightly. I rarely change my pick, but I'm seriously 50-50 on this. That's why I might bet Holloway plus 180 especially if I can get plus 200. Blackshear I'm picking, but that line is crazy. Nergoze by decision. Vallejos I'm picking by knockout, but I also think that line's crazy. Waldo by decision, somehow drag Span to a decision. I'm going to take you by submission, but that line, those 3 are nuts, man. Musasa by knockout, probably, murder. Sorry. Not actually, please. Everybody gets him safe. I'm straight up picking Sam Hughes, the underdog. I'm going to take her by decision, though. Andre Lima by, I'm going to say TKO. I'm going to say he gets a finish. But it could end up being a close decision, honestly. Actually, I'm going decision, man. I think it'll be a decision. Bar is pretty tough. And then I'm going Priscilla Cachoeira, straight up underdog. I'm going to take her by knockout. And I'm going to go Judice. But that Dubin line, I did play it. So the bets: Dubin plus 350, Cachoeira plus 175, Hughes plus 215, Chitty plus 190, Vettori minus 128. Couple more bets that I talked about, and some that I haven't yet. Some props that I'm looking out for. I'll talk about later on in the week in my next video. So check that out, and like the video, click subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate you. Churro appreciates you. Later. Make some money. I'll catch you later on in the week. Peace.